The lawyer opened the envelope and started reading my grandmother's letter out loud. My 3 siblings sat across from me, designer suits and smug smiles, already counting their millions. To my granddaughter Jessica, the lawyer read in Grandma Catherine's voice, "You spent 5 years caring for me, changing my bedpans, managing my medications, sacrificing your career, your social life, everything. And now you're probably expecting to be rewarded for that sacrifice. You won't be. You get nothing." My brother Marcus actually laughed, a sharp, cruel sound that echoed in the conference room. My sisters Vanessa and Adrienne exchanged glances that said, "Finally, justice." I felt my throat tighten. 5 years. 5 years of caring for Grandma while they visited twice a year with expensive gifts and empty promises. And this was my reward. Public humiliation. I stood up, grabbed my purse. I wasn't going to sit there and watch them divide up Grandma's estate while pretending they'd earned it. "Jessica, wait," the lawyer started. "Why? You just read it." "I get nothing. There's no reason for me to stay." The lawyer, Mr. Bernard Thompson, stood up. His voice was firm, commanding. "Miss Hartley, sit down. That letter was page 1. There are 12 more pages. And Clause 18 specifically requires that you hear every word before anyone inherits anything. What? Your grandmother's will has a mandatory attendance provision. If you leave before the reading is complete, the entire estate goes to charity. All of it, your siblings included. So please, sit down." I hesitated. Marcus looked nervous now. Vanessa's smile had vanished. I sat back down, hands shaking, heart pounding, not understanding what was happening. "My name is Jessica Marie Hartley. I'm 34 years old, and this is the story of how my grandmother tested all of us for 5 years. How she made me prove I wasn't caring for her because of money, and how a 12-page letter and one final clause changed everything. Let me go back 5 years, to the day that started this whole test. 5 years earlier, I was 29, living in Boston, working as a physical therapist at Mass General, making $78,000 a year, small apartment in Cambridge, dating a surgeon named Preston who kept talking about our future without actually proposing. My grandmother, Catherine Hartley, was 81, living alone in her massive estate in Greenwich, Connecticut, widow of Martin Hartley, who'd made a fortune in commercial real estate in the 1970s. The estate was worth approximately $40 million. Old money, Connecticut royalty. Grandma Catherine had 4 grandchildren. My older brother Marcus, 36, hedge fund manager in Manhattan. My sister Vanessa, 33, marketing executive in San Francisco. My younger sister Adrienne, 27, fashion buyer in Paris. And me. We'd all grown up visiting Grandma's estate. Summer vacations, holidays, family gatherings. The house was enormous. 15,000 square feet. Pool, tennis courts, gardens that required 3 full-time groundskeepers. Grandma had always been sharp, independent, fierce. She ran her own investment portfolio, traveled constantly, donated millions to charity. She was vibrant, unstoppable, until she wasn't. The call came on a Tuesday morning. My mother, Grandma's daughter, died suddenly. Brain aneurysm. She was only 62, gone in seconds. At Mom's funeral, Grandma looked smaller, older, like something inside her had broken. She'd lost her only child. 2 months later, Grandma fell, broke her hip. The surgery went well, but the recovery didn't. She developed complications, infections. Her mobility never fully returned. She needed help, full-time care, someone to manage her medications, help her with daily activities, coordinate her doctors. My siblings and I had a conference call. Marcus was direct. "We should hire professional caregivers, round-the-clock nurses." "Grandma can afford it," agreed, Vanessa said. "I can't leave San Francisco. My career is here," Adrienne chimed in from Paris. "I'm in the middle of Fashion Week season. No way I can move back." I listened to them. Listen to them calculate Grandma's care like a business expense. And something in me snapped. "I'll do it," I said. What? Marcus sounded shocked. I'll move to Greenwich. Take care of Grandma. She shouldn't have strangers caring for her. She just lost Mom. She needs family. Jessica, that's insane, Vanessa said. You have a career, a life, a boyfriend. You can't just throw that away. It's not throwing it away. It's choosing family. For how long? Adrienne asked. Grandma could live another 10 years. You're going to waste your 30s changing bedpans? It's not a waste if it's for someone I love, Marcus jumped in. Look, I appreciate the sentiment, but let's be practical. We'll hire the best care money can buy. Grandma will be fine. You don't need to sacrifice your entire life. She's not a problem to be solved with money, Marcus. She's our grandmother, and she's alone. I'm doing this. There was silence on the call. Then Vanessa spoke, her tone sharp. Fine. If you want to play the martyr, go ahead. But don't expect us to put our lives on hold because you have some savior complex. I moved to Greenwich 3 weeks later. Preston, my surgeon boyfriend, broke up with me. I'm not waiting around while you play nursemaid. I thought we had a future. Guess I was wrong. My apartment lease ended. My job gave me a leave of absence that eventually became a resignation. My entire Boston life dissolved. I moved into Grandma's estate, into one of the guest rooms, became her full-time caregiver. The first year was brutal. Grandma's hip never fully healed. She needed help getting dressed, bathing, moving around the house. Her medications were complex, 15 different pills at different times. She had doctor's appointments 3 times a week. I learned to be a nurse, a companion, a coordinator. I managed the household staff, dealt with contractors, handled her finances when she felt too tired. Grandma was grateful but also stubborn. Jessica, you shouldn't be doing this. You should be living your life. This is my life, Grandma, and I'm exactly where I want to be. My siblings visited occasionally. Marcus came twice that first year, stayed for a weekend each time, brought expensive gifts, cashmere blankets, gourmet food baskets, things Grandma didn't need. Vanessa visited once. 3-day trip where she spent most of the time on work calls. Sorry, Jess. Big campaign launching. I'm slammed. Adrienne came for Christmas. Left after 2 days. The estate is so depressing now. I can't handle it. They'd call Grandma every few weeks. Short conversations. How are you feeling? We miss you. Take care. Then back to their important lives. Meanwhile, I was there every day, every night, managing her pain, helping her to the bathroom at a.m., holding her hand when she cried about missing Mom. Year 2, Grandma's condition worsened. Early-stage dementia. Some days she was sharp as ever. Other days she forgot where she was, who I was. I hired a part-time nurse to help, but I was still the primary caregiver. Still the one she called for in the middle of the night. Still the one who remembered that she liked her tea with honey, not sugar, that she hated the smell of lavender, that she needed her crossword puzzle at exactly a.m. Marcus called during year 2. Jessica, this is getting ridiculous. You've been there 2 years. Your life is passing you by. Hire full-time staff. Move on. I'm not leaving her. Why? What are you trying to prove? I'm not trying to prove anything. I love her. She needs me. That's enough. You know people are talking, right? They think you're doing this for the inheritance, that you're manipulating Grandma while she's vulnerable. My blood went cold. Who's saying that? People, family, friends. Even Vanessa mentioned it. Look, I'm not accusing you, but it looks suspicious. The one grandchild who moves in and isolates Grandma from everyone else. I'm not isolating her. You're welcome to visit anytime. You just don't. We have lives, Jessica. Careers. We can't drop everything like you did. I hung up, furious, hurt. They thought I was manipulating Grandma for money. Year 3 was when Grandma's dementia became severe. She'd have moments of clarity, but mostly she was confused. Sometimes she thought I was my mother. Sometimes she didn't recognize me at all. I kept caring for her, feeding her when she forgot how to use a fork, reading to her from her favorite books, playing old music that sometimes made her smile. My siblings' visits became even rarer. Marcus came once, stayed for hours, took a selfie with Grandma to post on social media. Family is everything. Love you, Grandma. Vanessa sent flowers for Grandma's birthday. Never visited. Adrienne called once and asked, is she still alive? I mean, I know that sounds harsh, but I'm planning my schedule and I need to know if I should block time for a funeral. Year 4, Grandma had a series of small strokes. Her physical condition deteriorated. She needed full-time medical care. I converted the downstairs library into a medical suite, hired round-the-clock nurses, but I was still there, still managing everything, still holding her hand. She had moments of clarity. One afternoon, she looked at me with complete recognition. Jessica, you stayed. Of course I stayed. Your siblings didn't. They have their lives, Grandma, and you don't? You gave up everything for me. Why? Because I love you. Because family isn't something you do when it's convenient. It's something you do when it's hard. She started crying. I'm so sorry. You've sacrificed so much. It's not a sacrifice if it's for someone who matters. That was one of the last clear conversations we had. Year 5, Grandma Catherine died, peacefully, in her sleep. I was holding her hand. I called my siblings. Marcus arrived 6 hours later. Vanessa flew in the next day. Adrienne came from Paris 2 days later. At the funeral, they all cried, gave beautiful eulogies, talked about how much they loved Grandma, how much she meant to them. I stood in the back, silent, exhausted. I'd spent 5 years caring for her. They'd spent 5 years visiting occasionally and posting about her on social media. After the funeral, Marcus pulled me aside. I assume Grandma's lawyer will contact us about the will. Probably. Look, Jessica, I know you did a lot for Grandma. We all appreciate it. But the estate should be divided equally. 4 ways. That's only fair. Fair, yeah. Grandma loved all of us equally. Just because you had the time to move in doesn't mean you deserve more. I stared at him. I didn't do this for money. Good. Then you'll agree to an equal split, right? Before I could answer, Mr. Thompson, Grandma's lawyer, approached. I'll be in touch about the will reading. It's scheduled for next Monday. All 4 of you are required to attend. Required? Vanessa asked. Yes. Mrs. Hartley's will has specific provisions. If all beneficiaries aren't present, the reading cannot proceed. Monday morning, A.M. Bernard Thompson's office, 52nd floor, Manhattan. Conference room with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Central Park. My 3 siblings arrived in expensive cars, designer clothes, looking like they belonged in a boardroom. Marcus in a $3,000 suit. Vanessa in Chanel. Adrienne in something Parisian and unreasonably chic. I wore a simple black dress. Teacher salary chic, or in my case, no salary for 5 years chic. We sat around the conference table. Mr. Thompson entered with a thick folder. Thank you all for coming. This is Catherine Hartley's last will and testament. Before we begin the formal reading, Mrs. Hartley left a letter. She insisted it be read aloud first, to everyone. Before anything else, he pulled out an envelope. This letter is addressed to Jessica Marie Hartley. My siblings exchanged glances. Here it came, the public acknowledgement of my 5 years, the recognition. Mr. Thompson began reading. Jessica, if you're hearing this, you attended the will reading. You came despite knowing what this letter would say, despite knowing that your siblings would be here to witness it. Let me be clear about what will happen next. Mr. Thompson will read my will, and you will discover that you are not the primary beneficiary. Not even close. The estate 40 million plus the Greenwich property will be divided among your siblings, Marcus, Vanessa, and Adrienne. They will each receive approximately $13 million. They maintained their careers while I was ill. They built their lives. They stayed independent. You did not. You moved in with me, gave up your job, your apartment, your boyfriend, your entire life. You spent 5 years caring for me. And for what? Did you think I'd reward you for that sacrifice? Did you think playing nursemaid would earn you the estate? It won't. You get nothing. Zero. Not a dollar. Not the house. Not even my jewelry. I am not doing this out of cruelty. I am doing this to teach you a lesson. You sacrificed your life for me. That was your choice. But sacrifice doesn't entitle you to compensation. You chose to care for me when you could have built a career like your siblings. That choice has consequences. The consequence is this: while your siblings inherit millions and continue their successful lives, you will have nothing. No career, no savings, no future, just memories of changing an old woman's bedpans. Marcus was right. People talked. They said you isolated me, manipulated me, that you were after my money. And you know what? Maybe they were right. Maybe you did this expecting a reward. Well, there is no reward. Your siblings stayed independent, built wealth. They deserved the inheritance. You became dependent on me. You deserved nothing. I hope the 5 years of caregiving were worth it, because that's all you're getting. Memories, experience, and the knowledge that you wasted your 30s on a dying woman who didn't even leave you enough money for rent. Do not contest this will. Do not beg. Do not plead. You made your choice 5 years ago. This is mine. You get nothing. Your grandmother, Catherine Hartley. Mr. Thompson finished reading. The room was completely silent. Then Marcus started laughing. Actually laughing. Holy shit. Grandma was savage. Vanessa covered her mouth, trying to hide her smile. I mean, she's not wrong. Jessica did isolate her. Adrienne looked at me with something like pity. Jess, I'm sorry, but you kind of brought this on yourself. You gave up everything expecting a payout. That's kind of gross. I felt tears forming, felt the humiliation washing over me. 5 years. 5 years of sacrifice. And this was my reward. Public humiliation. A letter telling me I wasted my life. I stood up, grabbed my purse. I don't need to stay for this, Jessica. Mr. Thompson's voice was sharp, commanding. Sit down. I turned. Why? You just read it. I get nothing. There's no reason to stay and watch you divide up Grandma's estate among people who visited her 6 times in 5 years. Sit down. Now. That letter was page 1 of 12, and your grandmother's will specifically requires that you hear every single word. If you leave before I finish reading, the entire estate, all $40 million, goes to charity. Your siblings get nothing. You get nothing. Nobody gets anything. What? Page 1 was the cruel letter. There are 11 more pages. And Clause 18 determines who actually inherits. Sit down and let me read. I hesitated. My siblings looked panicked now. Jessica, sit down. Marcus hissed. I sat, hands shaking, heart pounding, not understanding what was happening. Mr. Thompson pulled out a different document. This is Catherine Hartley's last will and testament, properly executed 6 months before her death. Witnessed. Legal. Let me read the distribution clauses. He read formally, slowly, making sure everyone understood. Clause 1 through 17. Preliminary distributions and conditions. He went through legal language, bequests to staff, charitable donations. Nothing about the $40 million yet. Then he reached the part that mattered. Clause 18. The true distribution. Before I explain the actual distribution of my estate, I need to address the letter read at the beginning of this meeting. That letter was a lie. Every word of it. It was designed to test you, Jessica, and more importantly, to test your siblings. 5 years ago, when I fell and broke my hip, I needed help. I was vulnerable, scared. I just lost my daughter. I was facing the reality of aging and death. My 4 grandchildren responded differently. Marcus, Vanessa, and Adrienne immediately suggested hiring professional caregivers. They saw my need as a problem to be solved with money. They had important careers, important lives. They couldn't possibly disrupt their schedules to actually care for me. Jessica said, I'll do it. She quit her job, ended her relationship, gave up her apartment, moved to Greenwich, became my full-time caregiver. For 5 years, she was there. Every day, every night, when I was in pain, when I was confused, when I cried for my daughter, Jessica was there. Her siblings visited occasionally, brought expensive gifts, posted photos on social media, pretended to care while living their important lives. During year 2, Marcus called Jessica and told her that people were saying she was manipulating me, that she was isolating me for financial gain. He planted the seed that she was caring for me not out of love, but out of greed. Jessica never mentioned this to me, but I knew. I had my lawyer monitoring the situation, recording conversations, making sure I understood exactly what was happening. The truth is this: Jessica cared for me because she loved me, not for money, not for inheritance, but because she believed family matters more than career. Her siblings cared about me in theory. They loved the idea of having a wealthy grandmother, but they didn't love me enough to sacrifice anything. So I designed a test, a cruel test. The letter at the beginning of this meeting told Jessica she'd get nothing, that she wasted 5 years, that her siblings who did nothing would inherit millions. I wanted to see how she'd react. Would she explode in anger, demand justice, prove that she did it for money? She didn't. She stood up, quietly, with dignity. She was going to leave without fighting, without begging, without proving she'd done it for financial gain. That reaction told me everything. She didn't care about the money. She cared about me. And when I publicly humiliated her with that letter, she accepted it with grace. Her siblings, meanwhile, laughed, called her gross, said she deserved nothing. They revealed exactly who they are: people who measure worth in dollars and career success. Therefore, my true will is this: to Jessica Marie Hartley, I leave my entire estate, $40 million, the Greenwich property, all investments, all assets, everything. She has earned it not by caring for me, but by proving she didn't care about earning it. She sacrificed 5 years of her life for love, not money. That's exactly why she deserves every penny. To Marcus, Vanessa, and Adrienne, I leave $50,000 each, a small token, enough to know you were remembered, but not enough to matter. You visited me 6 times in 5 years combined. You suggested hiring strangers to care for me. You told Jessica she was manipulating me. You laughed when you thought she'd get nothing. You get almost nothing because you gave almost nothing. Jessica, the letter said you get nothing. That was a lie designed to test your character. You passed. The truth is you get everything, because you already had everything that mattered: love, loyalty, family values. Now you'll have financial security to match. The daughter who gave up everything gets everything. The grandchildren who gave up nothing get nothing. With love and respect, Catherine Hartley. Mr. Thompson finished reading. The room was completely silent. Then it exploded. "This is fraud," Marcus shouted. Grandma was senile. She didn't know what she was signing. Catherine was evaluated by 2 independent doctors 6 months ago. Both certified she was of sound mind. Medical records confirm it. The will is ironclad. Vanessa turned on me, her face red with rage. You manipulated her. You isolated her. I hadn't spoken to any of you about the will. How could I manipulate someone when I didn't even know this was happening? Adrienne's voice was cold. You spent 5 years convincing her we didn't care. You poisoned her against us. I spent 5 years caring for her while you visited 6 times. Total. I didn't need to poison her against you. You did that yourselves. Mr. Thompson stood. Jessica had no knowledge of this will, no input into its creation. This was entirely Catherine's decision. She tested all of you. Jessica passed. You didn't. Marcus grabbed his phone. We're contesting. This is undue influence. There's an interim clause. If you contest and lose, you forfeit the $50,000. Right now, you get $50,000 each. Contest and lose? You get 0, plus legal fees that will cost you hundreds of thousands. We'll win, Vanessa said. This will is clearly the result of manipulation. You're welcome to try. But I should mention that Catherine recorded conversations, including Marcus, your phone call in year 2 where you told Jessica that people thought she was manipulating Grandma. Catherine wanted evidence that you were trying to undermine Jessica's relationship with her. She has it, all of it, documented, time-stamped. Admissible in court, the fight went out of my siblings. Marcus's face went pale. Vanessa looked like she might be sick. Adrienne stared at the table. Mr. Thompson handed me a folder. Jessica, these are all the documents. Property deeds, investment accounts. Everything is in your name now. Well, it will be after probate. About 6 months. I don't know what to say. Your grandmother wanted me to tell you one more thing. She said, tell Jessica I was testing her for 5 years, making sure she wasn't caring for me because of money. She proved she wasn't. She never asked about the will, never mentioned inheritance, never treated me differently when I had moments of clarity versus confusion. She just loved me. That love is why she deserves everything. The letter saying she gets nothing was the final test. She passed. Now she gets everything because she never wanted it. I started crying, actually sobbing. She never told me any of this. She couldn't. If you knew it was a test, the test would be meaningless. She had to let you sacrifice 5 years not knowing if you'd ever be rewarded. That's what made it real. My siblings left. All 3 of them. Furious. Humiliated. They'd come expecting millions. They'd laughed at me, mocked me, told me I wasted my life, and I'd gotten everything. 6 months later, the legal contest was brutal. My siblings hired expensive lawyers. They argued mental incompetence, undue influence, emotional manipulation. But the facts were clear. 2 doctors certified Grandma's mental competence. I had no contact with her lawyer during the 5 years. Grandma had recorded conversations proving my siblings tried to undermine me. The judge ruled the letter was intentionally cruel. That was the test. Jessica had no knowledge of the will, no contact with the attorney, no input into the distribution. Catherine Hartley designed a 5-year test to determine which grandchild truly loved her versus which grandchildren loved her money. Jessica passed. The will stands. Contest denied. My siblings had spent over $200,000 on legal fees. They lost their $50,000 inheritances paying lawyers. They walked away with nothing but debt and humiliation. The Greenwich estate came to me. 15,000 square feet. $12 million. The house where I'd spent 5 years as a caregiver. I walked through it. Every room held memories. Grandma's bedroom where I'd helped her dress. The library turned medical suite where she died. The garden where we'd sat on good days. Do you want to live here? My friend Sarah asked. She'd been one of the few people who visited during those 5 years. No, too many ghosts. Too many memories of pain. I want to remember Grandma alive, not dying. I sold the estate for $11.8 million. Created the Catherine Hartley Foundation for family caregivers, funding support groups, respite care, financial assistance for people who give up careers to care for aging relatives. Within the first year, 200 families supported, thousands of caregivers getting help they desperately needed, people who were making the same sacrifice I'd made, but without the safety net of a wealthy grandmother. Grandma spent her life on charity galas and social status. I spent her money on actual impact. The estate where she tested me became support for people facing the same test without financial resources. I bought a modest house in Stamford, 3 bedrooms, $800,000. Nothing like the Greenwich estate, but mine. Earned. Real. I went back to physical therapy. Same field, same passion. But now with financial security, I didn't need the paycheck. I just loved the work. My siblings stopped speaking to me entirely. Marcus sent one email. You're dead to me. You manipulated Grandma and stole our inheritance. I'll never forgive you. I didn't respond. There was nothing to say. They'd made their choices. Grandma had made hers. I'd simply loved her. The foundation had grown. 500 families supported. $10 million in grants. Real impact for real people. At our annual fundraiser, a woman approached me. She was in her 40s, exhausted looking. She took my hand. Thank you. Your foundation paid for respite care so I could take my first vacation in for years. I've been caring for my mother with Alzheimer's. Your grant saved my sanity. That's what Grandma's money did. Real help. real impact. She'd valued appearances. I valued substance, the ultimate validation of her test. Then something unexpected happened. Vanessa called. Jessica? It's Vanessa. Can we talk? I hesitated. About what? I've been in therapy. A lot of therapy. My therapist asked me, did Jessica really manipulate your grandmother? Or did she just love her more than you did? I realized, you loved her more. We loved the idea of her. You loved her enough to sacrifice everything. I'm sorry. For laughing, for the lawsuit, for everything. We met for coffee. Vanessa cried. I've spent 5 years being angry, telling myself you were the villain. But the truth is, I'm angry at myself. I chose my career over Grandma. I visited 6 times in 5 years, and I expected to inherit millions anyway. That's not love. That's entitlement. Grandma gave you a chance to show up, I said quietly. You chose not to, I know, and I have to live with that. But I want you to know you were right. Family matters more than career. I learned that too late, but I learned it. We reconciled slowly, carefully. She didn't get money, but she got a sister back. That was worth more than inheritance anyway. Marcus and Adrienne never came around. They were too proud, too angry, too convinced they'd been robbed. That was their choice. Just like caring for Grandma was mine. I visited Grandma's grave, brought flowers, talked to her. Thank you for testing me. I know it was cruel, making me sacrifice 5 years not knowing if I'd ever be acknowledged. But you were right. If I'd known it was a test, it wouldn't have been real. I had to love you without expectation of reward. I did, and that's worth more than any inheritance. The foundation has helped 1,000 families now. People making the same sacrifice I made. Your money is doing real good, real impact. I hope you're proud. I forgive you for the cruel letter. I understand why you did it. You needed to know my love was real. It was. It always was. The granddaughter who gave up everything got everything. Not because I deserved it more, but because I proved I didn't do it for deserving. I did it for love. People ask me, does it bother you that your grandmother tested you so cruelly? 5 years of sacrifice not knowing if you'd be rewarded? No, the test proved I wasn't caring for her because of money. I didn't know about the will. I didn't expect an inheritance. I just loved her. 5 years of caregiving with no financial incentive proved my love was real. The siblings who visited 6 times proved theirs wasn't. Grandma's letter said you get nothing. She wanted to see if I'd stay anyway. If I'd accept humiliation with dignity. I did. Barely. I was leaving when Mr. Thompson stopped me. And he said, check the final page instead. The final page, clause 18, said I get everything. Not because I deserved it more. Because I'd proven I didn't need it to love her. Grandma was wrong about nothing. She was right about everything. Character is proven through hardship. Love is proven through sacrifice without expectation of reward. I stayed with Grandma through 5 years of illness. I stayed at the reading after the cruel letter. I stayed true to who I was even when it meant public humiliation. And because I stayed without expecting anything, I received everything. The letter was page 1. Clause 18 was the truth. Grandma tested me for 5 years, made me prove love was real without financial incentive. I passed. At the will reading, my grandma said, you get nothing. The lawyer said, check the final page instead. And the final page said, you get everything, because you already had everything that mattered. If Jessica's story of cruel tests and hidden clauses moved you, don't keep it to yourself. Hit that like button if you believe that love proven through sacrifice is worth more than inherited wealth, that family caregivers deserve recognition, and that grandmothers who test their grandchildren for 5 years might actually be teaching the most important lesson of all. Subscribe and turn on notifications because stories of forgotten caregivers, trapped clauses in wills, and tests that last 5 years always have more powerful truths to reveal. Share this video with someone who sacrificed their career for family, someone who cared for an aging relative when others wouldn't, someone who stayed through years of hardship without expectation of reward, someone who knows what it feels like to be told you get nothing and stayed anyway. Drop a comment below. Was Catherine right to test Jessica so cruelly? Should the siblings have received more than $50,000? And here's the question that matters. If your grandmother left you a letter saying you'd inherit nothing after 5 years of caregiving, would you stay to hear the rest or walk out with dignity? Your support makes these stories of tested caregivers, cruel letters, and ultimate vindication possible. Thank you for being part of our community of people who believe that character is proven through hardship, that the final page matters more than page 1, and that sometimes the granddaughter who gave up everything inherits everything. See you in the next one. And remember, they can write letters saying you get nothing, but they can't erase the final clause that gives you everything.